Hey, second graders, welcome to math for Tuesday, April 28th. This is day 2, Unlock the Problem. You have just picked up your new packets, but we are already on day 2 because yesterday, as you know, was just a work day and complete any unfinished work from that first packet. So what you're going to do today is day 2, Unlock the Problem, and then we're going to talk about something new, which is shapes. And we're going to talk about the attributes of shapes. This might be challenging work, so I want you to be slow with yourself, be patient, pause and rewind as many times as you need so that you can understand what we're doing today. Let's get started. Let's take a look at our Unlock the Problem in your packet for day 2. I'll read it for you. Follow along on your packet. Brownies take 45 minutes to bake. Pizza takes half an hour less than brownies to warm up. How long does pizza take to warm up? Well, let's take a look at what do we know. What are the things that we definitely know? We know that brownies take 45 minutes to bake. And we know that pizza takes half an hour less than brownies. So what do we know and what is important? We know that brownies take 45 minutes to bake and pizza takes half an hour less to bake. Press pause here and fill in your first box on your application problem. Once that box is filled up, let's move on to the second box. What are we trying to find, or what is the question? Well, let's take a look again at the problem. It's asking, how long does pizza take to warm up? So it's asking, how many minutes does it take for pizza to warm up? So here we would answer, we are trying to find how long it takes for pizza to warm up. Pause here and write it down. We need to think about the unit here. Remember, the unit is how we measure something. So we might measure in length, we might measure in amount, but here we are measuring in time. And we are dealing with minutes. So the unit is minutes. Write it down. Under what is the unit? You would write the word minutes. Pause here and write it down. Okay. Now we're going to use this information to solve the problem. So we know that brownies take 45 minutes to bake and pizza takes half an hour less. So how can we solve this problem? What operation can we use? Well, you could count on a clock. That's one strategy. You could also subtract. That's another strategy. Decide which strategy works best for you and write down right here how you will use that information to solve the problem. Will you count on a clock? Will you subtract? Decide and write it down right here. Now it's time for us to solve this problem. I know that half an hour is actually 30 minutes because we learned that last week. I'm going to solve by subtraction. My strategy that I'm using is subtraction. So I'm starting with 45 and I'm taking away 30. I'm starting with 45 minutes because that's how long the brownies take. And I'm subtracting 30 because it's less for the pizza. This is easy to do in my head, but since I wrote it the vertical way, let's practice the vertical way. Remember, we start with ones. 5 minus 0 is 5. Then we move to tens. 4 minus 3 is 1. Make sure that you're using your unit. Remember, we decided our unit was minutes, so 15 minutes. Make sure that you write it out in the solve box. I need to see all your work in this box. Otherwise, I don't know how your brain worked. If your brain worked differently than my brain, that's okay. Your solve can look different, but it needs to show everything that you thought. The last thing you need to do is answer in a complete statement. Remember, a complete statement is a whole sentence. My answer is 15 minutes, but 15 minutes isn't a whole sentence. Instead, we're going to answer the question, how long does a pizza take to warm up? And my sentence would be, a pizza takes 15 minutes to warm up. Pause there and make sure you answer this bottom box. A pizza takes 15 minutes to warm up. All right, let's get into some new material. Let's practice first with some fluency. I'm going to say 10 ones, and you'll tell me how many tens. 10 ones. It's 110. 30 ones. 3 tens. 41 ones. 4 tens and 1 1 left over. 40 ones. 4 tens. 85 ones. 8 tens and 5 ones left over. If you got any of those wrong, no big deal, but make sure that you're thinking about tens and ones as two separate units. Remember, this is just a review, but it will help you with your fluency practice. Now we're going to get into shapes. What is this shape? This shape is a triangle. You recognize triangles. But now I want you to think, how could you describe this shape without using its name? This is tricky. Well, I might start by looking at the sides. And I might start by counting the sides. So this has 1, 2, 3 sides. Then I might start by looking at the corners. I see 1 corner, 2 corners, 3 corners. Oh, interesting. So it has 3 sides and 3 corners. Now the corners look to be about the same size. The sides look to be about the same size or same length. Is there any other way that you could describe it? Think. We mentioned that this figure or this triangle had 3 corners. But with shapes, corners are called something new. Corners are called angles. An angle is where the 2 sides of a shape meet. Every shape has angles except for a circle. A circle has no angles because there's no corners. Angle is an important word, and it's a word that we'll be using to describe shapes all day today. We also will describe shapes by talking about the sides. We mentioned sides when we were describing this triangle. A side is the length of a shape. In this case, a triangle has 3 sides. So, a triangle has 3 sides and 3 angles. Let's try to describe this shape without using its name, but this time using the words angles and sides. Let's start with angles. How many angles does this shape have? Let's mark them. 1, 2, 3. To move my box. 4. This shape has 4 angles. Let's think about how many sides this shape has. This shape has 4 sides. Let's mark them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good job. This shape has 4 straight sides. Some of the sides are different lengths. It has 4 corners, so it must have 4 angles. Good work, second graders. All right, let's practice with some unusual shapes. I'm going to take my face away, but I'll still be talking. Let's count how many sides and how many angles for each shape. Remember, another word for angle is corner. That might help you. All right, let's do sides first. 1, 2, 3, 4. How many sides? 4 sides. And how many angles? Well, we count of 1. Here's another one, 2. Here's another one, 3. And here's one right here. That's a tricky one. But that one inside there is 1. So how many angles? 4. Let's try this one. How many sides? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 sides. Oops. My pen isn't working, friends, but there are 6 sides. There we go. And how many angles? I'm going to use a different color here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 angles. Oh, are you noticing a trend? 6 sides, 6 angles, 4 sides, 4 angles. Let's see if that trend can be true for F. How many sides? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 sides, just like this E, but it's a different shape. So I'll put 6 sides. And then let's look at angles. 1, 2, 3 on the inside there, 4, 5, 6. Wow, awesome job. Try these bottom 3 on your own. See if you can figure out how many sides and how many angles for each one. Press pause here so you can figure it out. Once you've figured them out, come back and see if your answers are right. By now, you should have figured out G, H, and I. Check to see if your answers match mine. What trends do you notice in these answers? I see that the number of sides matches the number of angles. I also see that just because something has the same number of sides as another shape, it doesn't mean that the shapes are the same. And just because it has the same number of angles as another shape, it doesn't mean that the shapes are the same. Good work, second graders. If you made any mistakes, you can recount. Look how I counted by putting dots on the angles and the sides. That can help you identify what you've already counted. I encourage you to continue practicing until you get the same answers that I have. Now we're going to try something a little bit different. We need to identify which shape has the most sides. Can you identify this just by looking at the shapes? Well, I know it's not going to be B because B is a pretty standard shape. It's a triangle, and there are only 3 sides to a triangle. So I know my answer won't be B. I think just by looking that it's going to be C. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. C has 8 sides. I better check to make sure that neither D nor A have 8 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not D. We already ruled out B. Let's check A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's not A. So which shape has the most sides? C. C has the most sides. Let's try another problem. Which shape has 3 fewer angles than shape C? First, we need to identify how many angles shape C has. So let's take a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The same number that it has sides. Interesting. And it needs to be 3 fewer. Well, it's not going to be B because B, well, let's pause. What is 3 fewer than 8? 8 minus 3, fast math, equals 5. So we know it's not going to be B because B is a triangle, so it has 3 angles. So I'll cross off B. D has 1, 2, 3. Remember to count those inside ones too. 4, 5. Let's see how many A has, just to make sure that we're right. 1, 2, 3. Count those insides. 4, 5, 6. So it's not A. So what is the best answer? The best answer is D because D has 3 fewer angles or 5 angles. Good job. Okay. We've identified which shape has 3 fewer sides than shape C. Now let's do 3 fewer angles, excuse me. Now let's see which shape has 3 more sides than shape B. Shape B has 3 sides. Which of these shapes has 3 more sides than shape B? Let's first do the math. 3, 1, 2, 3, plus 3 equals what? It equals 6. Well, we've identified this multiple times now. Which shape has 3 more sides? Or 6 sides? Shape A. Good. Do you see how just labeling them once can help you solve lots of problems? I'm proud of you. Okay, second graders. Which shapes have the same number of sides and angles? The answer is all of them. Every single one of these shapes has the same number of sides as they do angles. Remember, that's a pattern we already noticed. So for this answer, you would circle A, B, C, and D. Today's work looks a lot like the work we just did. In your packet, it says Math Worksheet, Day 2, April 28th. First, you'll identify the number of sides and angles for each shape up here. Circle each angle as you count them so that you can keep track. Then you're going to study the shape below and answer the questions that go along with them. Once you're done, take a picture of your work and send it to your teacher so we can keep track. Good work today. This is new material. It is challenging. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to your teacher so that she can help you. I love you all, I miss you all, and I wish you well. Happy math!